and welcome back. I'm Andrea, your crafting junkie, and today we are learning the single crochet stitch. It's a foundational stitch that you'll use in countless projects, and by the end of this video you'll create a small square using single crochet just for practice. If you're a complete beginner and you need to learn the basics, go back to my previous video, learn how to make a slip knot, a chain, and we did practice slip stitches. You're just going to need some yarn and a hook. I recommend worsted weight yarn and a size 5 hook at least, up to maybe a size 7, just for beginners especially. So go ahead and create your foundation chain of 11 stitches. And that 11th stitch is mainly to turn. And to begin your single crocheting, you're going to insert your hook into the second chain from the hook. You'll then yarn over your hook, pull it through the loop, then yarn over again, and you will pull through both loops. That is one single crochet. I want you to continue to repeat this across the row, inserting into each individual loop next to the one you did before. At the end of the row, you will chain 1 to turn your work and repeat the process working the opposite direction. And I'm just going to show you a little bit here how to do that, and then I want you to continue to do this throughout the work. Once you create a square, I want you to look at that square and I want you to decide if you think it looks like a square or if it's starting to look like a triangle in some way. If it starts to become wider or narrower, it's very possible you're not counting your stitches properly. This is why it's very important to count your stitches so that you can learn how to finish your project, because the hardest part for me was to understand where to end the row. But by counting your stitches, you can learn very easily where you need to end and where you need to begin. There's also some rules I'm going to share throughout this process to make you understand when you're making chains to turn with, what ones count and which ones do not. It can be very confusing. Eventually you'll just get the eye for this and you'll just be able to do this without even thinking. So keep practicing. If you feel like you've messed up, pull the work out, start over. This is just to learn with. This is not going to be a finished project. This is for you to learn how to get the right amount of tension and just the right technique. So in the next video, I'm going to kind of go over crocheting tension now that you've had a little practice. If you're having trouble with it being too tight, I would just start using a larger hook until you get the hang of it. And then if you're making your stitches too loose, I would just go to a smaller hook. I'm going to go ahead and go into a little bit about yarn tension during this video because I think this is the best time to do this. Single crochet is going to be one of the crochet stitches you use very often. This is a very common stitch with amigurumis and all kinds of other things, and so it's very useful, and this would be a good time to learn and practice your yarn tension before you move on to the rest of the stitches. I would recommend sticking with the same yarn throughout this whole series. Practicing with consistent tools will just help you learn faster. So holding your yarn, there are several ways to hold your yarn. I'm going to demonstrate how I do it. I wrap this around my pinky and then back around, and I usually go across the top of my fingers and I wrap it under my index and over, and then I will kind of just grip the yarn. There are many ways to do this. You just have to figure out what works for you. Try different ways until it feels comfortable to you. So what I want you to do to practice your yarn tension is just chain 20 stitches and just see how tight or loose your loops are. Aim for a consistent size. If you're comfortable, your loops are going to look pretty much the same every time. You do not want them to be too tight because you have to be able to put your hook back through this chain to make a larger project. If it's too loose, it's just going to look a little sloppy and you'll just have to learn to adjust your grip accordingly. And this just takes practice. So your first projects are probably going to look a little bit odd. They're not going to be perfect, but the point is keep going and you will figure it out. I want you to get comfortable, sit down, and just kind of learn what works best for you. Practice making chains, practice making single crochets, and just kind of make your square over and over until it looks good to you. Once you're comfortable with that, I want you to move on to the half double crochet, which is the next video in our series, and I will go over that. And as always, if you're new here and you like this content, you want to see more of it, consider clicking the bell icon so you get notified whenever I make more videos. And of course, like and subscribe if you don't mind. I would so much appreciate that. It just helps me grow my channel. And I'll see you in the next video.